Hello, and welcome to our 9th D&D 3.5 Prestige class review. In this video, I'll be going over the various aspects of a particular D&D 3.5 Prestige class, and evaluating the class on its concept and execution. I'll also give my thoughts on each of its class features, as well as some ideas for how I would improve the Prestige class. Today we're going to be looking at the Dervish. This dancing warrior weaves swift and savage blows into an elaborate dance of death. Dervishes tend to be part of nomadic groups. Fighters, barbarians, and rangers are the most common classes to become dervishes. This class is generally for characters who prefer a more graceful way of fighting. That said, the Prestige class does not require weapon finesse. Rather, it requires combat expertise, dodge, mobility, and weapon focus with any slashing weapon. This, along with the +5 base attack bonus requirement, limits this class mostly to fighters, and the fighter is by far the quickest way to enter it. With a fighter character, you can easily enter this Prestige class after level 5. Other classes will have to wait a little longer, till level 9 or so. The combat expertise feat requires a 13 intelligence too, so you're going to need to have that alongside other good fighter ability scores. And that higher intelligence will come in handy, as you'll need 3 ranks in tumble and perform dance as well. I would rate this Prestige class's requirements as restrictive. As a fighter, you will need to invest 4 of your 5 feats by level 5 into requirements for this Prestige class. If you're playing a human, you'll have 2 feats to spare, but otherwise your path is pretty clearly set out for you in the early levels. You can wait longer to join it, but with 10 levels to go through in this Prestige class, you're merely making it more likely that you won't get to finish it. The Dervish gives you a D10 hit die, and oddly for a fighter type class, it gives good reflex and will saves like a bard. This does fit for a class focused on dancing in battle though. Next, let's look at what this Prestige class gives you for the trouble. Every level this Prestige class gives you a class feature. The first feature you get is Dervish Dance, which works similarly to the Barbarian Rage. You get to use it once per day at level 1, and get another use at every odd-numbered level. Rather than lasting for 3 plus your Constitution modifier, it lasts a number of rounds equal to half your ranks in your Perform Dance skill. While in Dervish Dance, you can move up to your speed while full attacking, but you must move at least 5 feet between each attack. You are subject to attacks of opportunity while doing this, but you can use the tumble skill as normal during a Dervish Dance. I would prefer if you were able to use your Perform Dance skill as a substitute for tumble here, but that's fine. You have to be using a slashing weapon and wearing light armor to be in a Dervish Dance as well. This isn't too much of a restriction, fortunately, although the latter is much more so than the former. While in a Dervish Dance, you get +1 to attack and damage rolls, and this increases by +1 for every odd-numbered level of Dervish thereafter, to a maximum of +5 at level 9. This is a pretty nice benefit to your attacks and damage. With power attack and using a falchion or something, you could convert this into 15 damage per attack, or up to 60 damage per round, and possibly even more with some of the class's later features. Sadly, Dervish Dance cannot be combined with the Barbarian's Rage, as the feature explicitly prohibits this. You also get an armor class bonus, similar to that of the Monk, which starts at +1 and increases to +2 at level 5 and +3 at level 9. This dodge bonus is a welcome little boost to your AC, and with something like a mithril breastplate, can just about match up to the AC you would lose from not wearing full plate. Level 1 also gives you Movement Mastery, which is effectively skill mastery for jump, tumble, and the Perform Dance skill checks. You can take 10 with these skills in any situation. This is a useful feature for your Dervish Dance, as it lets you move about automatically without provoking attacks of opportunity. It also saves you a lot of dice rolling during combat for those sorts of checks, which can be nice. Lastly, for starting features, you treat scimitars as light weapons. This is nice because it gives you access to a light weapon with an 18 to 20 critical threat range. But this is most likely only going to matter if you plan to fight with 2 weapons. Otherwise, a rapier is just as valid a choice, except perhaps for such feats as Deadly Defense. At level 2, you get +5 to your movement speed. Not a huge boost, but it is something. A fairly disappointing level overall, especially compared to level 1, but that's not going to ruin the class. At level 3, you gain Spring Attack as a bonus feat. This is a fairly mediocre feature, but not needing the other 2 feats to get it makes it a bit less painful, although you've already taken them as prerequisites for this Prestige class by this point. You also get your second use of Dervish Dance, and now deal +2 damage and get +2 to hit while dancing, so that helps to make this level a little bit better. At level 4, you gain the use of the Cleave feat while in your Dervish Dance. This is situational, but it can be quite helpful. It will only ever give you 1 extra attack a round, but as a melee fighter, it won't be rare to find yourself in reach of multiple foes, so this will be helpful from time to time. At level 5, you gain another +5 bonus to your move speed and another improvement of Dervish Dance. Nothing new, but again, because of the improvement to Dervish Dance, this level is passable. At level 6, you'll gain Improve Reaction, which gives you +2 to initiative rolls. Going first is always helpful, or at least having the option to do so, but you'll be making many attack rolls per combat encounter versus one initiative roll, so this feature doesn't do much to complement the rest of the class, and makes it a fairly dead level, almost as much as level 2. At level 7, you gain Elaborate Parry. This feature says whenever you fight defensively or use total defense, you get +4 to your armor class. This, along with your tumble skill improvements, can make fighting defensively incredibly tempting. Your Dervish Dance will make up for the -4 attack penalty at this point, and your armor class will go through the roof. Unfortunately, the game does not count combat expertise usage as fighting defensively in this case, but you can do both alongside each other, and you can use combat expertise during a Dervish Dance, which allows you to boost your armor class quite high if you wish to. Level 8 gives you another +5 feet to your movement speed for +15 feet total. Not much to say here. It's nice to have and helps with your halved movement speed while tumbling, but most characters are going to have a 20 or 30 foot move speed, so this odd amount will get lost in a rounding error, so not too helpful. Level 9 gives you Tireless Dance, which means you are no longer fatigued after ending a Dervish Dance. Most encounters will be over by the time 5 to 10 rounds have passed, so this feature might be almost useless, but in some truly long battles it will come in handy. At level 10, you get perhaps the second most iconic feature of the Dervish class after Dervish Dance itself, which is 1000 Cuts. It lets you make twice as many attacks as normal with a full attack. You can do this once per day, and when doing so you gain the benefit of Great Cleave. And if you use this while you're already in a Dervish Dance, you can make 2 attacks between moves instead of just 1. This really lets you go all out, so to speak, in a particular instance when you need to. This feature is simple, effective, and evocative of the class concept. It's not the best capstone ability out there for a prestige class, but it is a very good one. Overall, this prestige class is a fairly solid alternative to Barbarian Rage, along with a more defensive focus that makes it a solid option for lightly armored characters. If you don't mind fighting defensively, you can have a +10 to armor class from this class's various features, and your ranks in the tumble feat while fighting defensively. In Mithril Breastplate +5 with decent dexterity of at least 18, you can have a 34 armor class before any modifiers from something like a ring or amulet. It almost allows you to keep up with heavily armored fighters. The Dervish Dance provides +5 to hit and damage, which, as stated earlier, can be converted to +15 damage altogether with power attack on each of your attacks, while using a two-handed weapon such as the falchion. A Barbarian Rage by a similarly leveled Barbarian of level 15 or so gives +3 to hit and +4 damage with the two-handed weapon. This would be converted to around +10 damage with power attack. So the Dervish Dance could in some ways be considered stronger, especially seeing as it does not penalize armor class like Rage does. That said, it also lacks a benefit to will saves, which at higher levels can be more important. While it won't be as strong as something like the Frenzied Berserker, the Dervish still holds its own. As for suggested builds, I would suggest using a falchion with this class, as it is one of the strongest melee weapons in the game. With a Keen Enchantment or the improved critical feat, you have a 30% chance of getting a critical threat on each hit. With these damage bonuses, you could dish out some truly massive damage, and especially when you use your 1000 Cuts ability. It can only be used once per day, but it could absolutely obliterate a monster. 2-weapon fighting is tempting, and 2-weapon defense complements fighting defensively, as well as multiplying the effects of 1000 Cuts, but it's hard to overcome the limitations of 2-weapon fighting, and the missed damage compared to two-handed attacking with power attack. While the Slashing Blades feature does seem to want to weight you toward using scimitars, a larger slashing weapon is likely a better option. Overall, I give this class 4 stars for concept and 3 stars for execution. It has some very good features, but a lot of dead levels and tangential features which drag it down. Though, to be fair, that might be to balance out its very strong offerings at other levels, especially with Dervish Dance and 1000 Cuts. I think it could be worth going through all 10 levels of this prestige class, as it improves nicely over time, with both new features and especially with scaling its original starting ability. For the right character concept, the Dervish prestige class is a very fine choice. So, that's about it for this prestige class review. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, etc. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.